All right, folks, we are back. We are ready to head into our second semifinal of the day after Miraculous Gaming beat Integrity Gaming 4-0. We had Grubby as our special guest caster. It was a super fun time. If you didn't get to catch it, be not afraid. There will be VODs, and we definitely recommend you check that out. They will be online probably in the next couple days on youtube.com/WingnutStarcraft, as with all of the VODs from the rest of the season.
That's right. So you can catch up on the whole 10, 11, 12 weeks if you missed any of the action, wanted to see how these teams got here. But if you don't want to spend all your time doing that, we do have some recap videos that you will be able to see at some point.
Yep. Whenever we have downtime, we have some videos to show how the teams have made it through the semifinals. Actually through the quarterfinals, I should say.
Yes, sorry. Quarterfinals. But we have the next semifinal match queued up. This will determine the next participant in the final game. It's going to be No Dice Gaming versus MicroGamerZ. And first up, we have Stun versus Cowman. And I probably should have been more prepared.
We have some bios, and this is going to be another PvP. We started out the last match with a PvP.
That's right.
And it was pretty exciting, but go ahead with those bios.
All right. So for MicroGamerZ, we have Stun. Stun is a Korean top 90 Grandmaster Protoss player. He was a Academy member for FXO Korea, then joined Love Your Girlfriend, and then Deimos. After Deimos disbanded, he joined MicroGamerZ, and he describes his style as very solid macro, and his opponent today is going to be Cowman. No, I'm sorry, not Cowman, Crowbar.
Cowman.
Oh, it is Cowman.
Yep.
I'm sorry, you're right. Cowman. You can find him on Twitter at CowmanSC. He's a Protoss player from the United States. He plays for No Dice Gaming's Academy. He was a WCS challenger in 2014, and he is very macro-oriented as well, so we may be in for a long game here.
Yes, and honestly, we haven't really seen that many long PvPs, but it would be exciting to see one because, I mean, honestly, those are some of my favorite games with the big late-game units, Tempest, all kinds of cool things, Archon.
Mm-hmm. Two giant bowling balls come crashing into each other.
Yeah, but we're going to be going
shatters.
into King Sejong Station, and this would be actually a really interesting map for a late game because there's really not that many expansions, to be honest.
I'm going to guess that it doesn't go to late game on King Sejong Station.
Yeah.
But we may see some neat proxies.
Yep, both. This is the Master Grandmaster League of the StarCraft 2 Community Team League, if you're just joining and don't know exactly where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I am WingnutSC, and with me is Gallegation. We
Hello.
have been with you through this entire season, actually 2 seasons of SC2CTL, and it has been a great time, and this is the culmination of a lot of weeks of games and casting and work and awesome things,
yes.
And it is going to be awesome here as we move into King Sejong Station Gallegation.
In the bottom right-hand corner, featuring No Dice Gaming, their first player out today in the orange Protoss trunks, it is Cowman.
And in the upper left-hand corner, being a man and wearing pink, his name is Stun.
And some manner chatter going on between the two players. And I think these players have even gone up against each other, or at least the matches, the teams have.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a match we casted at some point, and it was, I believe, one of the longer ones. So, I didn't expect the first series that we saw today to be over quite so early, but the games were very well played, very interesting.
Yes.
The overall theme of the first match of the day I saw was very conservative play. And
yeah, both. I mean, no teams want to drop games when you've made it this far into the season. I mean, when you come this far, you obviously want to get to the end. You want to get that prize. You want to get your hands on that sweet cash. So you don't want to be the reason why your team does not get any of that.
Absolutely. But overall, the live event, what does that factor into it? Given that your entire team is watching, and who has to play next, and you want to be able to play the best, to put the best foot forward for your team, and leave the next player in a good situation. So there is a lot that goes into it. This is very different than our normal situation where we normally cast from the replays that have already been played, where the games are played over the course of a week. So maybe you play one game, the next game isn't played immediately afterwards. So I definitely love these live played events. It's a lot more interesting, a lot more goes into it. But looks like Cowman is going to be getting his gas up. Single gas here, only for him so far. 3 probes in it, while his opponent is finishing up his second gas. Has 2. Is going to be putting 2 in the other. A little bit more gas to get out the mothership core and warp gate, but not overcommitting to knock down that mineral income. A Cybernetics core coming down. Actually, the Cybernetics core is fairly evenly timed for both players, considering that Cowman's gas is a little bit later. The gas income of Stun is really only going to be slightly higher, as he has one additional probe mining the gas. But overall, it just goes into the build that they want to come out with, and we'll see. So far, we've seen a lot of Blink Stalker play, but not all that aggressive, though. As we said, some very sort of passive, turtley, defensive-y games where we haven't seen a whole lot of mind games or shenanigans or anything, and we've seen a little bit of scouting out of both players, but neither one of them scouting some of the most common proxy locations, such as these areas up over here and over here.
Yeah, and I think it's a little early to be scouting that necessarily. I mean, your Cybernetics core is finished on both sides, so you'll be seeing some of that stuff coming down fairly soon. But right now they're just trying to get an idea of what's in the opponent's base to see if there's anything that they need to be worried about. They can get an idea based on what's there, whether or not they're going to be facing something a little bit wonky, as Cowman is now seeing the Stargate and knows that that's not going to be in a proxy location at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a definite indication that he needs to be cautious. I mean, he has 2 gateways going down. Warp gate is about 1/3 complete. Going to be getting out some stalkers and scouting around with the mothership core to make sure there's no pylons or anything crazy going around. But there is a probe of Cowman headed out to the left side in a unusual location. So will he be putting down something interesting? There is a Templar Archives, Twilight Council going down in the main base.
Yeah, I would suggest that we'll probably see something interesting in that case. That this is really kind of an out-of-the-way location, although there is no pylon or anything going down just yet.
He's just kind of hanging out. He does have a stalker scouting around the right side of the map, checking in the watchtower, make sure there's nothing there. Oh my gosh, that Oracle is going to come right over the top of the stalker. Stalker is going to take some hits on it, but will not be able to kill it, as that Oracle is quite fast, but that is going to be quite the warning for Cowman, knowing that it's coming.
Yeah, he's already got 2 stalkers right in the mineral line. They are going to be able to swat that away without too much difficulty, at most 1 or 2 kills.
He's going to be able to see the Twilight Council, though. They're being chrono boosted, so you can be pretty assured that Blink is coming out. Photon overcharge. Wow, it actually takes out the Oracle, so that Oracle will not be useful anymore.
So the pylon now is going down in that kind of weird location from Stun. Nothing else just yet, though.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is just going to be a location to warp in some zealots from, or if he's planning on hiding some tech here. I mean, he does have a robo finishing up in his main base. I mean, if he was going to be doing some kind of hidden Twilight Council, that would have been done by now, and the Dark Shrine may have been done already, but nothing looks too crazy. Just keeping pylons across the map, maybe to do some scouting for warp prisms or whatnot.
And he may have also determined by seeing those stalkers there, by seeing Blink being made, we do see him now getting these immortals, so that may have sidetracked his initial plan a little bit.
Yep, another Oracle was made and is on its way out from Stun, so either maybe going to be a little bit more careful with them, or hope that Cowman has said, hey, you know what, I killed that Oracle, he's not going to be making any more. Oracles can definitely be useful as time goes on. Both players with expansions. Stuns is up a little bit earlier, as he has probes mining from it already. Oracle did check the watchtower on its way over, too, to make sure there is no scouting going on. Hallucinated Phoenix from Cowman headed out across as well.
So the Oracle did poke in and was able to see that natural expansion wrapping up and is going to be going back into that mineral line, but Cowman is there and ready.
Oh, and he's going to come in to see this Forge finish right at the same time. Blink is going to finish up as well, so he's going to be able to blink up and get that Oracle. Oh, just barely out of the way. Unfortunately for Stun, he was not able to get that, so that will be hanging her out to be pesky a little bit later. Observer is coming out as well, maybe to see what's going on. He did see the Chrono Boosted Forge, I believe, though, so he's going to know that some upgrades are coming down, but the Oracle is going to come into the natural expansion. Oh, just in time for the probe transfer. The probes are running away. Now the Blink will go down, and he will be 1 shot shy of getting that Oracle.
Yeah, that would have just taken 1 more volley and would have been out of there, so he's still got to worry about that coming back in. Can't just walk away and not have that thorn in his side.
But it's really good for Stun that he was able to keep that alive, because really what that's doing is keeping the units of Cowman in his mineral lines rather than heading out across the map to do any sort of harassment or anything like that. There are 2 Immortals, 2 Sentries here in the base for Stun, so he's gearing up, getting his own Forge as well.
Indeed. So more Immortals are coming out now. Cowman making some of his own.
It looks like Nathanius is in chat, so hello and welcome to you, good sir. Thanks for joining us this evening. For those of you that are just joining us, this is the StarCraft 2 Community Team League Grand Final live event. We are in the second semifinal of the day. We're going to be moving into a third place match after this, and then the Grand Final where we will be joined by Jeff in Control Robinson. We've already had our first semifinal of the day where Miraculous Gaming won 4-0 over Integrity Gaming. We were joined by Grubby. It was a great time. If you missed it, check out the VODs later. They will be online and exciting. But that Oracle is still kind of hanging out here. +1 ground weapons is about to finish up for Cowman, but still not really comfortable moving out with that Oracle because now that all the energy is stacked up, there is only one mothership core is at the maximum number you are allowed. So it will be difficult to photon overcharge both Nexi. But wow, +2 attack now going down for Cowman also, so he's looking to get way up on the attack upgrades. Observer headed across to see what is going on.
Yeah, both these players are really just kind of hanging out at their bases, scouting pretty heavily. You know, both players sending out hallucinated phoenixes. There's an observer there for Cowman heading across, but it looks like that Oracle might be trying to run in to do some more damage, and oh yeah, it's going to get that revelation down.
Yeah, and that's honestly a cool play at this point because you're going to be able to see for a whole minute what exactly most of the army is doing. But Stalkers do blink down and take out that Oracle, so it will not be an issue anymore. Hallucinated Phoenix comes in and takes some fake shots at the Mothership Core, freaks it out a little bit. It runs away slightly, but no long-lasting damage. Ground weapons level 1 finishing up for stun as well, while level 2 is half done, as well as Colossus on the way with Colossus range.
So now we're seeing some High Templar coming out as well. And it doesn't look like they've got Storm just yet, so going to be using them for feedbacks or Archons. Yeah, it looks like Archons is going to be the name of the game.
And, you know, this is a really, this is kind of an interesting composition like we saw in that very first PvP. This almost feels like the exact same game, same map, same everything, where we saw a heavy Colossus Immortal army versus a Zealot Archon High Templar army, and it was pretty decisive in favor of the Colossus army. So I'm curious to see what Stun will do differently here. I mean, he is taking his third base a little sooner. Cowman does see that, so he knows that's coming down, takes his own as well. So I mean, I honestly feel like when you're going like how Stun is doing, that we should be seeing a Stargate go down at some point with some Tempest. I mean,
yeah. If he was watching that first game, you'd think that he would kind of take a lesson, and he did see that structure building. He saw the robotics bay building. Didn't see it finished, didn't see it completed, but if he clicked on it while his observer was over there, then he would have, you know, great idea of what's going on, but still not really doing anything to counter those Colossus just yet.
And we did sort of beat that into the ground, that there were some Tempest would be required, but also the difference is here that Stun has a lot more Immortals than we saw in that initial game. A little bit fewer Archons, but a lot more Immortals and less Zealots. So this is going to be a pretty scary force against largely Stalker Colossus army. There are 3 Immortals there as well, some Zealots being warped in. But charge is going to be done for Cowman by the time this army of Stun gets over here. So that is going to be a factor with those Zealots running up on those Immortals.
Yeah, and there's
wow, this is insane how much this is exactly like
right. Yeah, no, there is not a third Colossus here. There's only 2 at the moment, so it's possible this may try. He's loading up Zealots. Looks like he's going to try and he's just running right up the ramp.
Yeah. Are we sure this isn't a replay allegation? Because this
I'm pretty sure.
Literally exactly the same setup, same everything. The first time we saw it go really good for the person in Cowman's position and not so good in the Stun position, so let's see if he can work this out a little bit differently. There is a large number of Archons and Immortals now. He's just going to run himself right up the ramp. This is actually great for Stun because it's cornering Cowman back in his third base. He can go nowhere.
Oh, but he's in the middle of all those Time Wars, getting some down of his own. The Colossus are just going crazy, and pretty much all that's left are these Immortals now. But the Zealots are running in at the feet, and the Immortals doing what they can, but it looks like Cowman's army is starting to come out ahead. Stun reinforcing with some Zealots now running forward, but those Colossus are just getting really slowed down by those Time Warps.
This is where the Immortals are going to step on forward with those Zealots really holding them up at their feet. Now another force field does go down, but those Colossus are just standing tall, allegation, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, another one is joining the fray as well, so back up to a count of 3, and Stun is going to be forced back to his forward pylon.
So, I mean, we saw largely the same result, so there's a lesson to be learned here, Gallegation, that Colossus beats Immortal Archon. But that was interesting to see a different type of engagement there, because the first time we saw this, it kind of split between the two angles here. But now, Stun kind of going up to the right side, trying. I like what he's doing. He's trying to trap Cowman down in this limited position here, because the Colossus can't retreat up the cliff because it's a double high cliff. But still the same thing. Zealots running in, trying to get in front of those Archons. Now Archons of Stun here are going to be out tanking some damage. But gosh, those Immortals just can't get up to those Colossus.
Oh yeah, and this Colossus is so low, only about 40 HP left. A fourth Colossus now joining the group, and these Colossus are just paying for themselves time and time again, and Stun is on his way home with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, looking at the kills in these Colossus, 13 for one, 1 for that one, 10 kills for that one, and 2. So a grand total of something like 35, 40 kills between these Colossus. That is absolutely nuts. So Stun, now has to figure out what to do. And he does have a fleet beacon coming down, does have a Stargate. So what do you think we're going to see, Gallegation?
Well, I think that he learned his lesson of, you can only beat your head against the wall so many times before you want to try something new. But the question is this too late? Is it too late to start going into Tempest? Can Cowman just run in here and end the game?
It is too late with only one Stargate. Absolutely 100% too late, because the upgrades are 3 in favor of Cowman, 2 attack for Stun. There's going to be no air upgrades for Stun. Stun is finishing his +3 here, actually just starting it. And he's going to be able to make 1 Tempest at a time, and he's actually not making any yet.
Well, this is one of those time-buying maneuvers here by Stun, is sending a Zealot Strike Force down into the third. There is a cannon there that's going to be a deterrent.
There's a Warp Prism in the main base as well, with 5 more Zealots in there, killing all the probes of Cowman. Oh my gosh, is Cowman just going to end up going for this to try and go for the throat? But these Zealots are doing a ton of damage. Yeah,
and it looks like he actually, he continues to move forward. He's got a few Zealots of his own trying to fight this off in the main, but there's really not a whole lot at home, and it looks like he doesn't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care, and there's no reason he really should. He's got a huge army here himself. The army supply is 56 to 86 in favor of Cowman. He's got +3 in 1 Tempest now being made for Stun is going to come out, but it is not going to be able to get much done. Cowman just walking over the base of Stun right now.
Yeah, but the probes are only at 28 now for Cowman, so if some way Stun is able to hold this off, he's going to be in a really good position as it stands.
Yeah, I really don't... It's just hard to say. These Colossus now, there's 5 Colossus here. That's so many Colossus with +3 attack, and now they have +1 shield. There is the Tempest there, and there's only 1 Stalker. And oh, that was an amazing time warp there, holding all the ground units.
Yeah, and these these Colossus are once again doing huge damage. All the Archons are falling. The Immortals are retreating back into the main base. The single Tempest running a little too close does get taken off. There's another one now moving forward. Unfortunately, their vision is much longer, their range is much longer than their own vision, but now moving forward, getting a few shots off, targeting one of the higher health Colossus. He can pick off another one of it. Yep, there it goes. And so now the Colossus count is down to 3, but that Tempest is going to fall.
I mean, there's really not a whole lot Stun can do. Cowman is in his base. Now +3 does finish for Stun. It's almost like he's just kind of waiting for that. But really, what can 4 Zealots, 2 Stalkers, and 4 Immortals do against this force? I'm pretty sure the Colossus almost by themselves could take this out with the proper micro, but we're going to see what he can do. He's going to move in, takes out 1 Colossus, targeting it down with the Immortals. Zealots do come in to take the attention of the Archons, but they are going to be chased down now. Oh, nice force. He's going to trap every single one of those Immortals there, and if Insult wasn't enough, he's going to put a time warp down on top of them.
That's right. So Cowman is pretty much obliterated the army that's here. There's not really a whole lot left. I mean, the probe count is about even for both players, but Stun's infrastructure is just getting ravaged here. And
Workers killed is 53 to 35.
Holy moly. So there's not... I just don't know what Stun does here. I mean, what's his game plan?
His game plan is to roll over and die.
It looks like he's going to continue to try and force out some Tempest here. Doesn't feel like he's quite out of it just yet. But those probes are now being targeted, and they are getting bunched up
by those Archons. So gross, but the production is limited here for Cowman as well, but honestly, he doesn't really need anything else. He's 1 Archon going to go up and go toe-to-toe with this Tempest. He's going to say, come on, bro, bring it. Carrying him back. 3 Stalkers blink up to help him out. There is an Observer there, and he is going to get it down.
And there's the GG.
Wow, so that was a very exciting PvP, very similar to, we're going to go with the hand method here to focus.
There we go.
There we go. A very exciting PvP. It's amazing how similar that was to the first match of, I'm just going to flip back here, Gemini versus SolQuest.
Yes.
And it was, I was kind of thinking that maybe, okay, he's doing something different this time. He's taking a different angle on his engagement, and he came up over the top, and I like what he tried to do by sort of sandwiching the army of Cowman back in his third base. But, I mean, those Colossus, man, they stand tall against everything.
Yeah, I mean, they were doing huge amounts of damage. And I really did like that Stun kind of, upon losing that army, didn't just decide, okay, we're just going to remax and try it again. Like he did try and transition out of that. He tried to get the Tempest, but unfortunately Cowman was just very aware of the situation that he was in, realized that he had just handily crushed that army, and moved in. I really did like Stun's tactics, though. I really did. Building the Tempest, sending in the Zealot run-bys, trying to buy time to get that army up, and I think that if it had worked, if Cowman had taken the bait, then he would have been in fine position.
Yeah, and it just wasn't possible for him at that point to get the number of Tempests up he needed. He needed 4-ish to be able to take out Colossus in one shot, but even then those Colossus had +3 armor and +1 shield, and the Tempest had no upgrades whatsoever, so it would have taken even more. It was just a bad position because it was a composition issue at that point.
Yes.
But, that map, and maybe it's just that map, and we've kind of seen similar things on that map as we've gone through the series. Very sort of just two-base aggressive type things. You get up your third, but you just kind of assume that it's going to be tough to hold, and it's going to be a defensive point. But, I mean, Cowman was able to defend it quite well there.